Let's talk about the reading test first. This test could really be called a thinking test because its purpose is to evaluate if you can understand concepts from printed material. So this isn't the kind of test where you've got to cram a bunch of stuff and memorize a bunch of things, because really they're going to give you everything you need to answer the question. It's really, can you think about what they've given you to read? They're going to give you, I have on the screen behind me, I have a little sample. In fact, you can find this sample yourself on Kirtland's website under their placement testing portion. They give you some little practice things. You can see they're going to give you a portion or a passage to read that's about 1 or 2 paragraphs long, and then you're going to be asked to answer some questions about that paragraph. My number one recommendation is slow down. Read that paragraph slowly and carefully to get understanding. Now, I'm a pretty fast reader, and I can browse through and read, but when I'm taking a test like this, I'm going to read more like this. Read each passage slowly and carefully to gain understanding of the material. You're like, oh, it's going to take me too long. Well, again, time and money. Take a little time on this test to do your very best, and you won't regret it. So you read your passage slowly to understand what they're talking about, and then you're going to be asked 3 or 4 questions that are going to refer back to that same passage. Be prepared to reread the passage as you are looking for the answers, because remember, you don't have to memorize this stuff. It's right there. All you have to do is be able to think and apply. So let's look at the types of questions they're going to ask you, because I want you to know what the test is going to be like before you go into it. Brain science tells us that when anxiety goes up, working memory goes down. So we don't want to be anxious when we go in there. We want to know, oh, I've looked at that. Make sure you go to some of the practice sites. Take a look at what the questions are going to be like so that you have a little bit of an idea before you go in. Really 4 basic types of questions. The first is going to be a referring question. They're going to give you this passage and then say something like, according to the passage. Now on our example that I have up on the screen, the question says, according to the passage, cowboys are probably strong and silent because, and then they give you some choices. Well, if you go back up and read the passage, it will tell you why cowboys are considered strong and silent. You just need to make sure that you go back and look for it. Other ways that they might start a sentence like this is, the passage states that, and then they give you some choices. Or they might say, the author indicates that, but all of those are just saying, refer back to what you read. The author said this in there. Go back and read it again, see what they said. The second type of question is recognizing significant details. This means they want you to get very specific. They're going to tell you something about whatever the passage was about. Maybe it's something specific about a molecule. You're like, I don't know anything about molecules. It's okay. They're going to tell you in the passage. Just go up, reread it, look for the very specific detail, and then look at your choices and pick out the best one. The next type of question is probably the most difficult for people, and this is the reasoning type of question. You're going to see words like infer, imply. What they're wanting you to do with these kind of questions is, after reading that passage, can you kind of read between the lines? Can you figure out what they might have been hinting at? So it's not really about guessing. It's about what did they hint or imply in their portion. You're going to see phrases like, it's most reasonable to conclude. Okay, conclude, I'm just going to give you a little tip right here for vocab. When they use the word conclusion or conclude, what they're really wanting you to do is make a decision. So after reading this, I've got enough information to decide, and then they'll give you some choices. Or they might give you some emotions. It's reasonable to conclude that the author was feeling happy, bored, ambivalent when they were writing this portion. So it might also say, this information serves to make you believe this, this, or this. So the questions are a little more not asking you for specific material, but what did you get from the passage? Those are sometimes the hardest type of question. The last type of question you're going to get is vocabulary questions. And these, well, I said that reasoning were the hardest type. Vocab could be hard for you if you are not a big reader. So you might want to make sure that you go and do some of those practice vocab things. I'm in the packet that you're going to be receiving from your counselors. There's some free websites. There's some vocabulary websites on there where you can go and beef up your vocab. If all you're doing is talking with your friends, you're gonna be a little low on the vocab. But these questions are going to say things like, the word bestow most nearly means, and then they'll list some things, and you have to decide, in that passage, did bestow mean this, or this, or this? Here's an example. Which of the following words, if substituted for ardent, would most change the meaning of the sentence? So you have to kind of know what ardent means in order to know if you used a different word, would it change the sentence? So vocab is a big one.